How the sagacious among the Christians perceived the guile of the vizier. Whoever was possessed of spiritual discernment was feeling a sweet savor in his words and, joined therewith, bitterness. He, the vizier, was saying fine things mixed with foul. He had poured some poison into the sugared julep. The outward sense of it was saying, be diligent in the way, but in effect it was saying to the soul, be slack. If the surface of silver is white and new, yet the hands and dress are blackened by it. Although fire is red-faced, bright and glorious, with sparks, look at the black behavior displayed in its action. If the lightning appears luminous to the eye, yet, from its distinctive property it is the robber of sight, it strikes men blind. As for any Christian who was not wary and possessed of discernment, the words of him, the vizier, were as a collar on his neck. During 6 years, in separation from the king, the vizier became a refuge for the followers of Jesus. To him the people wholly surrendered their religion and their hearts. At his command and decree they were ready to die. How the king sent messages in secret to the vizier. Messages passed between the king and him. The king had words of comfort from him in secret. The king wrote to him, saying, O my fortunate one, the time is come, quickly set my mind at ease. He replied, Behold, O king, I am preparing to cast disorders into the religion of Jesus. Explanation of the 12 tribes of the Christians. The people of Jesus had 12 emirs as rulers in authority over them. Each party followed one emir and had become devoted to its own emir from desire of worldly gain. These 12 emirs and their followers became the slaves of that vizier of evil sign. They all put trust in his words, they all took his procedure as a pattern. Each emir would have given up his life in his presence at the time and hour, on the spot, if he, the vizier, had bidden him die. How the vizier confused the ordinances of the gospel. He prepared a scroll in the name of, addressed to, each one, the written form of each scroll, of a different tenor, the ordinances of each, of a diverse kind, this contradicting that from the end to the beginning. In one he made the path of asceticism and hunger to be the basis of repentance and the condition, necessary, for conversion. In one he said, asceticism profits not, in this way there is no place, means, of deliverance but generosity. In one he said, your hunger and generosity imply, association on your part, of other objects, with him who is, the object of your worship. Accepting trust, in God, and complete resignation in sorrow and joy, all is a deceit and snare. In one he said, it is incumbent on you to serve God, else the thought of putting trust in him is a cause of suspicion. In one he said, there are divine commands and prohibitions, but they are not for practice, observance, they are only to show our weakness, inability to fulfill them, so that we may behold our weakness therein and at that time recognize the power of God. In one he said, do not regard your weakness, that weakness is an act of ingratitude. Beware. Regard your power, for this power is from him, know that your power is the gift of him who is who, the absolute God. In one he said, leave both these qualities behind, whatsoever is contained in sight, regard for other than God, is an idol, something which involves dualism. In one he said, do not put out this candle of sight, for this sight is as a candle, lighting the way to interior concentration. When you relinquish sight and fantasy too soon, you will have put out the candle of union at midnight. In one he said, put it out, have no fear, that you may see myriads of sights in exchange. For by putting it out the candle of the spirit is increased, by your self-denial your Layla, beloved, becomes your Majnun, lover. If anyone abandons the world by his own act of renunciation, the world comes to him, with homage, more and more. In one he said, that which God hath given you he made sweet to you at the time of bringing it into existence. He made it easy, blessed, to you, and do you take it gladly, do not throw yourself into anguish. In one he said, let go all that belongs to self, for it is wrong and bad to comply with your nature. Many, different roads have become easy, to follow everyone's religion has become, to him, as dear as life. If God's making religion easy were the right road, every Jew and Zoroastrian would have knowledge of him. In one he said, that, alone, is made easy, blessed, that, nothing but, spiritual food should be the life of the heart. When the enjoyments of the sensual nature are past, like brackish soil they raise no produce and crop. The produce thereof is naught but penitence, the sale thereof yields only loss, nothing more. That is not easy in the end, its true name ultimately is hard. Distinguish the hard from the easy, consider, what is, the goodliness of this and that in the end. In one he said, seek a master, teacher you will not find foresight as to the end among the qualities derived from ancestors. Every sort of religious sect foresaw the end, according to their own surmise of necessity they fell captive to error. To foresee the end is not as simple as a hand loom, otherwise, how would there have been difference in religions? In one he said, you are the master, because you know the master. Be a man and be not subject to men. Go, take your own head, choose your own way, and be not one whose head is turning, bewildered in search of a guide. In one he said, all this, multiplicity, is one, whoever sees two is a squint-eyed mannequin. In one he said, how should 100 be one? He who thinks this is surely mad. The doctrines, every one, are contrary to each other, how should they be one? Are poison and sugar one? Until you pass beyond the difference of poison and sugar, how will you catch a scent of unity and oneness? 12 books of this style and fashion were drawn up in writing by that enemy to the religion of Jesus, showing how this difference lies in the form of the doctrine, not in the real nature of the way. He had no perception, of the unicolority of Jesus, nor had he a disposition from, imbued with, the tincture of the dying vat of Jesus. From that pure vat a garment of 100 colors would become as simple and one-colored as light. This is not the unicolority from which weariness ensues, nay, it is a case, like that of fishes in clear water, although there are thousands of colors on dry land, yet fishes are at war with dryness. Who is the fish and what is the sea in my simile, that the King Almighty and glorious should resemble them? In the world of existence myriads of seas and fishes prostrate themselves in adoration before that munificence and bounty. How many a rain of largesse hath rained, so that the sea was made thereby to scatter pearls? How many a sun of generosity hath shone, so that cloud and sea learned to be bountiful? The sunbeams of wisdom struck on soil and clay, so that the earth became receptive of the seed. The soil is faithful to its trust, and whatever you have sown in it, you carry away the equivalent in kind thereof without fraud, on the part of the soil. It has derived this faithfulness from that divine faithfulness, inasmuch as the sun of justice has shone upon it. Until springtide brings the token of God, the soil does not reveal its secrets. The bounteous one who gave to an inanimate thing these informations and this faithfulness and this righteousness, his grace makes an inanimate thing informed, while his wrath makes blind the men of understanding. Soul and heart cannot endure that ferment, to whom shall I speak? There is not in the world a single ear, capable of apprehension. Wherever there was an ear, through him it became an eye, wherever there was a stone, through him it became a jasper. He is an alchemist. What is alchemy, compared with his action? He is a giver of miracles, to prophets. What is magic, compared with these miracles? This uttering of praise, to him, is, really, the omission of praise on my part, for this, praise, is a proof of, my, being, and being is a sin. It behoves, us, to be not being in the presence of his being, in his presence what is, our, being? Blind and blue. Were it not blind it would have been melted, consumed, by him, it would have known the heat of, the divine, sun, and were it not blue from morning, how would this region, of phenomenal existence, have, remained, frozen like ice?